happy you have. Yeah. Thank you, sir. For it.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. We're going to end a happy Thanksgiving to each of you tomorrow. Our friend from Canada has already celebrated. They have an early. Enough is as good as a feast. That's an old proverb dating back to the 1600s. Actually 1660s. And what had happened is that they had had a famine, they had had starvation, they had had no food to eat. And so when they came out of that, what they realized, they were all hungry and they would have eaten anything. And they ate turnips and they ate potatoes, whatever. It didn't matter, because in what they said, what they came out with was enough. If they just had enough to fill their stomachs after being, starved for those several years, that enough was as good as a feast, regardless of what what the food was. So that's what we're going to be talking about today with, the day before Thanksgiving, and how food plays such a part of holidays, and and how people with eating disorders, we can absolutely celebrate holidays with family members, but for those of us who have eating disorders, we really have to count it as another day. It's just another day on the calendar, and it's really important about staying on a food plan. And I'm not talking about a diet. Diets do not work. We've all realized that. You go on a diet so you can go off of the diet. A meal plan is a forever way to eat, to feed yourself appropriately. And this is also for alcoholics and addicts. Many of our alcoholics, I've worked with addicts for many, many years. And many of them in early recovery suffer from malnutrition, because depending on how severe the alcoholism and drug addiction is, they quit feeding themselves appropriately. So one of the things, the man who trained me in the field of alcoholism, Joe McQuaney up in Little Rock, Arkansas, and he's no longer with us, but one of the things he trained me in, and while training me in the alcoholism field, he said, feed your alcoholics and addicts good, give them good food. And he said, not a lot of sugar. Now, he said they will want sugar because of that substitute for drugs and alcohol. In the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it talks about a lot of times how they would sober up new alcoholics by transferring them, recommending that they eat sugar. And, I've been around long enough to see a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts switch addictions, switch over to sugar, compulsive overeating, and some of them get diabetes, and, they're sober from the drug alcohol, but they're still dying from an addiction. And we had one beloved man in town that did that. He blown up after sobriety, and was a wonderful man in sobriety, but he died of diabetes, complications from diabetes. So addiction is addiction is addiction. It doesn't matter whether we eat it, drink it, shoot it up, it's a process addiction, whatever. What we have to look at is how much is enough. For most addicts, there's never enough. One's too many and 1,000's not enough, until we find recovery. And we believe that any addiction is a spiritual problem. And we believe the recovery is spiritual, because we each have, every addict, I've never known an addict yet that didn't have what and we describe like a hole in the soul. Now, I have worked with many drug addicts, alcoholics that call it having like a football, something big inside them. With most of your eating disorder people, they'll call it more like a hole in the soul, like a vacant building. And so there's never enough for an addict when they're not in recovery. And then too much is never enough. How much is enough? Too much is never enough. You know, for a compulsive overeater in the disease, we always want more. We can't get full. I really did not know what hunger felt like until I went to treatment and was fed 3 meals a day, nothing in between, and a snack at night. And what would happen is I'd have hunger pains around 11:30. I'd wake up in the morning hungry, and then I would, they'd feed us, and then about 11:30, I would be hungry. The reason I didn't ever feel of true hunger is because I never allowed myself to be empty. I never allowed myself very often, unless I was on one of those real restricted diets. I would keep something. I was a grazer, always had to have something to eat on. And so compulsive overeaters in the disease never get enough. There's never enough food. And then on the other side of that, for the anorexics, want less. There's never a little enough food. They want less food, less food. And so, less in that situation, less is more, they want less food. And so either way, enough is never enough. So we have to ask ourselves, with eating disorder people, what is enough? What is enough food? And, we're really big around here at Shades on, like I said, the 3 meals a day, balanced meals a day, and then nothing in between, and then a snack at night. And we call that a metabolic adjustment because clients eat at 5 o'clock, and that's a long period of time to go. That's a fast between 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock the next morning. So we bring it up this what we call a metabolic adjustment, to where it's a protein and a starch, and it is about tiding them over till morning. And this was particularly developed by Dr. Judy Hollis, who was my therapist and now is a beloved friend of mine, who really, and she didn't like me to say this, but she literally saved my life. But and she said it wasn't her, and I know it wasn't her. It was God working through her, but she was the messenger that saved my life. And what she explained about that snack at night, it was really developed for those of us that were night eaters. And if you're a night eater, on the compulsive overeating side, I hate to tell you, but that is one of the very worst symptoms. And then, of course, I always had to have the worst of everything, but I was a severe night eater. I could eat more food at night than that most people would eat all during the day. And so that metabolic adjustment at night works on the same premise of, when you have a baby and they're not sleeping at night, a new baby. One of the things a lot of pediatricians used to, and I haven't had a baby in 57 years, so I don't know about today, but used to, they would encourage us to give them that evening bottle about 9 at 10 o'clock. And once I would start that, then they most of the time would sleep all night. And so that's the same thing, philosophy of having this evening snack. And the type of food that is for that snack does not set up a craving. It is just strictly to balance out the metabolism. And so that's why we really encourage people here to eat with intention. Eat with intention. and stay and eat in with consciousness, to stay conscious. We go unconscious with the food. I'll tell you, folks, tomorrow there's going to be a lot of unconscious people tomorrow after the big meal. Some people can do that, and they don't have food issues. They can eat that big meal and eat all that, and the turkey is healthy, but they'll overdo with that and everything, and then, go into a state of unconsciousness and sleep it off. But for people with eating disorders, Thanksgiving holidays has got to just be another day on the calendar. We don't get that privilege of, binging on a holiday. And so what we recommend here is eat with intention. Now, what I mean by that, if you, and I don't recommend this in early recovery at all, give yourself a good 5 years of solid, abstinence, and what your abstinence is. You have to define that. No one can define it but you. And how you define it is you figure out what your trigger foods are. And for most people, it can be sugar, high carbs. I always say this, I've never found anyone addicted to broccoli or green beans, so your trigger food is what you get addicted to, and what we recommend is don't do them. Because if it's going to trigger you back into the compulsive eating, you might need to look at what you can eat and what you can't. But what I'm saying is, in recovery from any addiction, I don't care what it is, any addiction, the substance is going to take its proper place. I've been in recovery, was 35 years in September. I did not deviate from the food plan for the first 18 or 20 years. I mean, I did not. And I would weigh and measure. And I didn't, toward the end, didn't weigh and measure every day. I got to where I wouldn't. But then when I had problems and the food was calling me, it would be recommended by a sponsor that I go back to weighing and measuring the food. Because when we have problems, that's what sends eating addict back into their substance. Whether you're a codependent, addicted to food, to a person, or if you're addicted to a substance. So what I was going to say, this eating with intentions, today, after 35 years, I can eat pretty much anything I want to eat. I still eat 3 balanced meals a day. And sometimes I'll eat the snack at night. I don't always eat the snack at night, but one of the benefits of owning an eating disorder unit and living across the street from the treatment center, I get Meals on Wheels. I take most of my meals. I eat exactly what the clients eat. And so, by and large, there's no reason in the world that I can't stay on a food plan. Now, at times, I'm telling you, I would recommend do not do this in early recovery. But there's times that I want a hamburger. Now, I don't want one of those healthy hamburgers with gluten-free bun. I want a greasy cheeseburger. I want a greasy cheeseburger. Now, I'll tell you today, I can go eat I say greasy, I mean, I'll just get me a cheeseburger. Sometimes I'll eat it all, sometimes I won't eat it all. But I get enough every time I eat that cheeseburger, and I may not eat another one for 6 months, 9 months, a year. But I do that with intention. I do it in front of someone, either my friend Misty, we go out on Tuesdays and do errands and all. And, there's times that she's been with me that that'll be the time I'll eat my hamburger or something, or with my daughter Kim, or with any of my kids. I do it with intention. And what that means is I don't do the secret eating like I used to. It's these kept secrets that keep us sick. So if you can take it or leave it, you can eat it, like you can have it. Like, I can eat a hamburger and I don't obsess, the next 30 days on wanting another one. It's over, done with, and complete. But everybody has to figure that out for themselves. And what I tell people at Shades, because we do detox them from everything, we've even gone gluten-free because of, and I've totally made that decision myself because of my own intolerance to gluten. And by the way, when I eat that hamburger, that's about the only bread that I ever eat. And I know when I eat that, I'm going to bring on a problem with my stomach. Now I know that. And I take and I say, well, I want a hamburger. And it is worth the risk for me to have an upset stomach for one night. Now, but I make that choice, I make that decision. And I do not recommend people early in recovery for doing this. And I usually don't talk about these. But when clients are, like I said, we detox people from everything, sugar, high carbs, even our drug addicts, alcoholics. We put them on a healthy food plan. If they can go home and use that plan and feed their family off of that. But when they get into like, not the transition house, but if they stay long enough to get into the halfway house, if they don't have a sugar addiction and they think they want to eat, go back to eating sugar, what we say is do it with intention. Put it in your meal plan. Used to, we haven't done this in a long time, would have a counselor go over and eat with, the women, or it'd be women in the halfway house, and then notice what the sugar does, or whatever your trigger food is. Notice what it does for you. Because I'll tell you, when food takes its proper place, see, food is not the problem. That is just, that's not the problem. But we must address the problem is, like drugs, alcohol, we have to address that and get sober before we can address the underlying core issues. And so, we work with people that is just absolutely dead set on eating sugar, and it's none of our business what they eat. But if they're in the halfway house, we want to teach them how to do that. Do it with intention, eat it, and then notice how it affects the body. And then notice the next day, have they been able to eat whatever that they ate, and then that was complete and they're over it? Are they obsessing about it? Are they obsessing about wanting more of it? If they are thinking about it, they probably have a problem with sugar that is telling them they more than likely will not be able to eat sugar successfully. So each person has to figure that out by themselves. But like I said, don't do it in secret. It's the secret eating. We're sick as we are secret. We're sick as we are secret. And it was my secret eating. I mean, I ate more food in secret. I could have fed a family of 4 on what I ate in secret. It was the secret eating that got me. And then you feel dishonest, and because you're sneaking with your substance. So how do you know if enough is enough? Is you get on a healthy food plan. Now, Shades, Misty and I were talking about this a while ago. Shades is a healthy food plan. It is not the food plan, like the end all be all. We don't package this like a Nutrisystem or a this or that or whatever. It's a healthy meal plan that will work for anyone, and anyone can use it. We are not selfish with this meal plan, this food plan. We would share it with anyone. And so once you get on a healthy meal plan that works for you, and you do that over and over and over and over, your mind is going to be convinced that your stomach and your mind is going to get coordinated here, and before long, when you first start on a meal plan, it's like it's not enough food, or I've never heard that complaint about our meal plan. The meal plan that we have, people say, oh, it's just so much food. But I'll make you a guarantee, if you stay on this meal plan, if you need to lose weight, you'll lose weight on it. That's not the purpose of it, that it's a healthy meal plan. You absolutely will lose weight on it. And then if you need to gain weight on it, some, like to start out, anorexics absolutely can gain some weight, but after a while, those calories have to be kept way up for your anorexics because it's not enough in order for them to gain the weight that they need to gain. So how do you know if it's enough? In the big book, we come out with this phrase, think, act, habit, and character. What we think becomes how we act, and how we act becomes a habit. And a habit then becomes our character or who we are. For instance, when we're early in recovery from any addiction, what we usually think about is what we're not getting to eat. We think about it. And so as long as you don't act on it, and you call someone and, like a sponsor and say, this is what I want to eat. I would rather have this than anything I've ever wanted in my entire life. Now I'll tell you, a good sponsor will not tell you not to eat it. She's not going to be your food police. She will not, or he will not. And he will say, or she will, the sponsor will say, tell me what's going on. What's underneath? What's the feelings? All that. And so when that mental obsession, that thinking is the mental obsession, and that is really what separates an addict from a non-addict, is the mental obsession. Obsession means an idea that overcomes all other ideas. So in early recovery, it's dangerous for an addict early in recovery to think very much, particularly to think about the substance. That's why you pick up the phone and call your sponsor and say, this is what I'm thinking about. Or if you're a sex addict, you call your sponsor and say, I want to go cruise down Main Street, or I want to get on the internet. I want to go to those porn. It is about the thinking always precedes the action. We don't fall into relapse. I'll hear people say, well, I don't know how it happened. I was just doing so good. And then all of a sudden I relapsed. And I call that BS. People relapse with intention. And so what happens is every action that we take, there is a thought that precedes the action. So that's where the addiction stops, is in that first thought, that very first thought, and we need to report it to someone. So our thinking becomes how we act, and how we act becomes a habit, and then that becomes our character or who we are. So let's reverse this. What we think is, I want to feed myself healthy. I want to eat off a meal plan. I think that. And then I don't only think it, I would dream about, one day I'm going to eat healthy. One day I'm going to do this, and I'm going to quit, compulsively overeating. I would think about it, while I was full up to here. But the next day or the next hour, when I got hungry, my actions would be different. So we have to think about what we're going to eat. This is why it's much harder to treat an eating disorder than it is drugs and alcohol. And sex is harder to treat because your sex addicts and your food addicts are doing what God intended us to do. He made us sexual beings, and he gave us a body that needed to be fed on a regular basis. Now, no one has ever died of a shortage of alcohol or drugs. I mean, that's the fact. So it's like a tiger. You lock that drug and alcohol up, shut that cage, and you never have to take out the drug and alcohol again. With food, it's different. We take that tiger out 3 times a day and maybe a stack at night. We walk that sucker around the cage and we put it back up and we forget it. And sex addiction, people in recovery from sex addiction that, they have to have a bottom line, figure out what their bottom line is. And then if they're married or in a committed relationship, they have to figure out what a healthy sex life is, just like, what a healthy food plan is. And so he's not intended to talk about sex addiction, but addiction is addiction. So, because all I can see when I look up, I see Sarah right there, and she is very knowledgeable and is in really good recovery herself. So anyway, so recovery is about we start thinking about ways we can take care of ourselves. We think about what we are going to eat. We do this with intention. What I recommend, you plan your meals on, or what I did early in recovery, and then it's become a habit that I still do. I don't have to anymore. My friend Misty does that across the street because she prepares my meals. But for years, I would think about on Friday what I wanted to eat the coming week. I would think about it. I'd make me a menu, make me a grocery list from that. And then on Saturday, I would go to the grocery store, and I had to buy off of that list. I couldn't be an impulse buyer because, grocery stores bank on people buying impulsively. If you'll notice at the end of those counters, that's where you'll find the goodies. They put them out there where you can see them and you'll be enticed to buy them. That's why we, encourage people to grocery shop on the outer perimeters of the grocery store. Majority of stores are laid out to where there's produce, then the fresh, the dairy products, and then the meat products. Stay on those outer perimeters. You get down there in those middle aisles, that is like a sex addict cruising Main Street. So don't cruise, stay out of those. So I'd make out my plan, go to the grocery store, and then on Sunday, I'd actually cook the meals, freeze them so I'd have them handy. Don't have to do that today, but I had to do it for many, many years because I didn't trust myself. So you think, you take appropriate action, and then after you do that for a while, we were talking yesterday in Family Week how long it takes to break a habit. At first we used to say it takes 28 days, but actually that is how long insurance companies would pay for alcohol treatment, 28 days. So we would say it took 28 days to break a habit from alcohol. We don't know how long it takes to break a habit, but I'll tell you, a good 90 days. This is why we recommend people going to 90 meetings in 90 days, because they're going to get in that habit. And then you stay on a meal plan religiously for at least 90 days, and then review it with a sponsor. What's going to happen at the end of that, you're going to be in the habit of feeding yourself appropriately. I promise you this. And then what you're going to have is some character around this. You're going to feel better about yourself. That's where the character comes in. You're going to feel better about yourself. And so over time, what you're going to become is a moderate eater. A moderate eater. I promise you. And moderation becomes a habit. I mean, if I can recover, anyone on the face of the earth can recover. I never knew what a serving of anything was. I had no idea what moderation was. I ate to feel better. I ate to ease the pain of living. I ate if I could get something in my stomach, then I could think better. And it didn't work like that. I got something in my stomach, and then, I got that sense of ease and comfort, and then it didn't matter. I mean, my nerves were better. I don't know. My husband would buy candy for me. Along when he would buy his beer, he'd bring me home candy. And we had a house full of kids, and we put it up in the laundry room. We had a tall ceiling that had this laundry room, and he'd hide it up there from his kids. And I feel so much shame about this today, but his oldest daughter one day was looking for something, and she found my stash of candy. And her father, my husband, went in there and caught her with the candy. And we teach people how to treat us. And he told his daughter, he said, "Oh, y'all can't have that. That's for Tennie. She has very bad nerves, and when she gets upset, she has to have that candy. Now, I had taught him that, and he was my chief enabler. He would keep me a stash of candy, and then he could buy his beer, and we agreed, I won't talk about your drinking if you want to talk about my eating. He kept his word. I didn't. Talked a lot about his drinking, but anyway, so moderation after a while becomes a habit. I'll promise you this. And then want to talk about the scales. We are much more than the number on the scales. I recommend people in any stage of recovery stay off of those scales. Now, you know, when you're in the stage of early stage and you have weight to lose or weight to gain, get someone to monitor your weight, a blind way. You get somebody that you trust, a dietitian, a nurse at the doctor's office, someone that understands eating disorders, and don't look at your weight. And then if your food needs to be adjusted, they can, in a healthy way, talk with you about, you need to add so many calories. You may need to adjust this a little bit, make a little adjustment, but stay off of those scales, because like I said, we're much more than a number on the scales. When is compulsive overeaters, particularly early in recovery, we'll jump on the scale. If we lost, oh, we're wonderful, we're having a great day. If we've gained a half an ounce, all our day goes to hell in the handbasket. We put too much emphasis on the scales. I want to make you a promise and a guarantee. If you stay on Shade's food plan and you don't slip around, and because it's designed, you get a lot of food on that food plan and you do not feel hungry. But it's also, if you try to add food to it and you're a compulsive overeater and you try to, add, a little bit of crackers at night or a little bit of this, or you'll gain weight on that food plan. But if you stay on the food plan, there's no failure. You will lose the weight. It will come off and it'll come off and it'll come off. And in the meantime, you go live your life. There's much more to life than, weight and scales and eating. Get the food will take its proper place if you do this long enough. Now, what happens with a lot, and I'm seeing a lot of it, a lot of compulsive overeaters and anorexics, is they do not believe what we say. And they think they can do it their own little special way. And if you can, go for it, do it. But I will tell you, if you try to cheat on that meal plan, it's not going to work for you. But if you will eat off of a healthy meal plan, doesn't have to be this one, a healthy meal plan. And, we say eat by the clock, 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 5 o'clock, the stack at night. We've been criticized by people, and I don't care. I do not care how much they criticize us. If they have another way of doing it, try it their way. There are people who really encourage you to just eat intuitively. Well, if I did that, I probably could do that today, eat when I'm hungry, but I still don't. I mean, I eat at regular times, and people will say, well, if you're not hungry, why do you eat? It is about putting in gasoline in my car. I've got a wonderful car, but if I let it run too low, I might run out of gas. So we eat to keep our energy up. It has nothing to do with weight and all that. It's to keep our energy up. So you feed yourself at noon, at 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or have whatever that adjustment is for you. And then in between that, you live your life. You get up and get out and do something besides focusing on the substance and focusing on yourself. Addicts of any sort, we are the most self-centered people in the world when we're in the addiction. All we think about is ourselves. We're navel gazers. Everybody look down at your navel. Look down at your navel. And all you see is yourself. And that's what a self-centered addict, when they're in the disease, That's all they're seeing is themselves. And they want you to see them. We don't do this alone. We want y'all to see, our family members to see how poor and pitiful we are. And we want the counselors to see, I can't do this. It's self-centeredness. I always tell people, if you want to know what your problem is, it's not your mother, it's not your dad, it's not society. You go in there and look in the mirror and say, good morning, problem. We are our own problem. And until we face ourselves and our food or whatever our addiction is, uh, you know, our families need to get off of our backs, or that for addicts, you get off of an addict's back, get off of their back, get out of their way and go live your life and have a wonderful life. Do not go down with an addict. They'll take you down as far as they can because they'll wear you out. They want you to save them, and you can't save an addict. They must save themselves. So what I recommend to family, go to Al-Anon, go to Codependency Anonymous, get a life. And when your addict has relapsed, pray for them, put them in God's hands, and go to the movies or go have fun, go on a hike, go on a vacation, live your life. That might sound cruel, but I'll tell you, when you stop and you put so much energy into an addict's recovery, they don't have to put anything into it. You're doing it for them. Why do they have to take any effort? Mama will be there, wife will be there, husband will be there. And what we say to family members, love the addict. It is okay to love an addict. Absolutely love them. But don't love them to death. Love yourself and find a life. Because what you will know with any addiction, there's three choices. An addict is either going to recover and live a full life, or they're not, and they're going to live their lives out in some form of an institution, or they're going to die. That's the three choices for addictions. Don't go down with them as family members. All right. So the scales, another thing is, I've already talked about that, is 3 meals a day, a snack at night. The weight will take care of itself. You do not have to worry about the weight. I promise, or will make you a guarantee. And then exercise, get outside and walk. You don't have to have a great big old expensive plan at a gym, or $100 pair of tennis shoes. I mean, if you do, that's fine and well, but you don't have to have it to exercise. You can get outside 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, 7 days a week, it doesn't matter. Get outside in the fresh air. There's very few days. Now, I don't live in snow, but my friend Cora right there has been talking about, she has, hope I can say this, she's changed so many things about her life, and she's walking, and she lives in colder country. And bundle up, get out there. So that is the best exercise anybody can do. Now, if you're exercise bulimics, 30 minutes a day is great. But for an exercise bulimic, if they get to exercising too much, those natural endorphins in the brain kicks in, and 30 minutes turns into an hour is 2 hours, a mile turns into 5 and then 20. So eating disorder people, we have to be aware, because we can go on either side of this deal, and unless we are really treating those core issues, and they're still hurting. We can get high and change. We can find anything that will change that brain chemistry. But if you're working on those core issues and looking at your history and getting some relief there, then do everything in moderation, including the exercise. Loneliness for an addict is a seed bed for relapse. The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous talks about loneliness is deep in the heart of every alcoholic. And I believe that is true for eating disordered people. That loneliness, that total aloneness. And what I say about it being the seed bed, because when we're lonely, bless our hearts, everybody else is out there, they have a life, they're married, or they're dating, or they're blah, blah, blah. And, addicts feel sorry for themselves. And if they get into self pity, that is the worst place for an addict to get. It's pour me another drink, or pour me another milkshake. So that loneliness is about reaching out to someone else. This is where we believe in the 12-step program. It is for free and for fun, folks. It does not cost one thing to belong to a 12-step program. When the meetings pick up and we can go back to face-to-face meetings, and for those of us that have are members of a group, we need to be sending our donations in to keep those meetings going. But what I'm saying, meetings don't cost anything. They pass a play. If you have a couple of dollars, put it in there. Used to, they said, if you need one, take it. We've quit saying that. But, a 12-step program does not cost anything. It's about getting with like kind who understands. I have never woke up in jail cold on a concrete floor. I have never experienced that. I don't know what it would be like. I don't know. So how can I tell someone that has had that experience that I understand? I don't. That's why you get into a 12-step program, you are going to find someone there that has experienced everything that you've experienced. And when they talk and share about their experience, strength, and hope, you're going to find like kind, and you're going to hear then. Don't just listen to the bad part, listen to their recovery today and how they've done it. And how they continue to stay in recovery is they give it away. This is where good sponsorship comes in. You cannot keep recovery if we don't give it away. We've got to share it with someone else, give it away. So support, but loneliness, you reach out to someone else. And it's not always reaching out to get help for yourself. Get out of your self-centered selves and reach out to somebody else. Call newcomers, reach out to a lonely neighbor down the street, offer to keep a new mother's kids or any mother's kids, get involved in your community. There's so many needs in our communities today. Get involved in helping someone else to get out of ourselves any way that you can. Because when you're doing something for someone else, you're not reaching for the substance. So we've got a really wonderful thing here in Buffalo Gap. It's called the Horse Farm. Renee, I won't go into all of it, but she has set up, her mother had this little ranch horse farm many years ago. When I first came home from treatment, we would go down there on Saturday morning, ride horses. What she's done, she had a real love for helping children with autism, and so this is a place where she has she has a wonderful program for autism children, and she allows our clients that are in transition or halfway to go down and volunteer. Now I'll see, Renee could get by without having our clients down there. She doesn't have to have our clients down there. That place runs really well without them. But she loves to have our clients down there. And what it helps our clients, it helps them get out of themselves long enough to help someone else. And when you're doing that, you're not thinking about taking a drink or overeating, any of that. So you have to reach out for something else besides the food. And another thing, reach into the God of your understanding. Tomorrow during Thanksgiving, if you have to be around people that are eating, the big deal, fruit, whatever, reach in to the God of your understanding and just whisper a small prayer. God help me. God help me go through this buffet line. God is very portable. He goes anywhere. All you have to do is whisper a little prayer. God help me. The God that I believe in is a gentleman. He doesn't come in where he's not invited. He's not going to knock that fork out of your hand or make you drop your plate of food. But if you'll just whisper that soft prayer, God help me as I go through this buffet line to make right choices. He'll absolutely be right there with you. Uh, so we don't stop one habit without replacing it with another. That's why we must find other things to do besides the eating or the drinking. And that's why 12 step programs work so well. All right, I'm just on the road here. I'm going to be through in just a minute. Another thing to remember throughout the holidays is HALT, HALT. I'm sure all of y'all have heard of it. HALT. Don't get too hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. For compulsive overeaters, a lot of times they'll think, well, I'll just restrict a meal. Don't do that. Don't get too hungry. Don't get too angry. Don't get too lonely or too tired. That's the halt. When you get there, you're headed to relapse. Pick up that phone, call someone. And stay off of the railroad track. We've got a railroad track out back that runs behind Shades. And we have never had anyone from Shades get run over by a train because they don't get out there and get up on that railroad track. Same with addicts. If you, don't go hang out places where it's not safe for you to go early in recovery. If you don't get on the track, you're not going to be run over. If you don't get around people that food is the only thing that they have in common, you might want to stay home and have a quiet meal by yourself this Thanksgiving. Don't get out there until you've got enough recovery that you can go places and where the food is taking its proper place and where you can just go and visit and it's not all about the food. Another thing, eat slow and savor every bite. I was a 2-minute shoveler. I just never tasted food. I just ate it. When I went through treatment, we did what we call gentle eating. And every day we ate dinner by gentle eating. They did not have a tape. They didn't have it was very primitive. They had one of those old rail type tape recorders, and we had to take a screwdriver clamp thing and clamp it down in order to play that tape. Anyway, that's probably the one major thing that helped me as much as anything because it slowed down my eating. Today, I am the last one to finish a meal. It takes me a good 30 minutes to eat lunch or dinner. And I'm chewing and chewing and chewing. And it's not that I'm eating a whole lot, I'm eating a meal plan. But it is so different. I can't eat any other way now. That is a habit for me. And I am the last one usually at any function to finish eating. And so that is proof positive that if we change the behavior long enough, it will become a habit. So savor each bite. And if you're eating something you don't like, don't eat it. There's too many. There's over 240 food choices. There's wonderful food out there. Don't eat junk that you don't like. If you don't like yogurt, don't eat it. If now if you're in treatment, I'd recommend that you do that. Try all different types of food. But if there's something you don't like, find a substitute for it. Okay, I want to wind this up. I want to talk about the difference between being thankful and being grateful. Being thankful is, someone does something for you, you say thank you, and that's pretty much the end of it. Like for instance, you go to the mall and someone opens the door for you and lets you go through. And you say thankful. You say thank you. Now, if you're grateful, you're going to open the door for the next person. You're going to give it away. Being grateful is we give it away. Being thankful is a one-time transaction and it stops right there. So be thankful tomorrow for whatever you have. It's always good to say thank you. I was reading an article in the newspaper the other day about this guy that his mother taught him good manners. And, he taught him, when you walk up to the door, whether it's man or woman, hold the door for people. And he said, used to nearly everyone would say thank you. And he said, now very few people say thank you. Our country has gotten so rude, and I think it's about the parenting. Let's blame it on the parents. Children learn by example. So, all right. And be grateful. When you are grateful for something, you are going to pass it on. Uh, and gratitude is, it's a changed attitude. You can't be hateful and grateful at the same time. I want you to try it. I want you to think about just when you're real hateful, can you think of anything to be grateful for? So it's a switch in that attitude. And you cannot keep your recovery if you don't pass it on. I want to talk about it. A man, when I think about gratitude, I think of Barney. Barney was 50 years sober, or 40 years sober when he died many years ago. And we call Barney the happy drunk. According to his story and his wife, he was severe alcoholic, lived on the streets half the time, and all he wanted was a bottle of whiskey. And so Barney recovered, and he got so grateful for his recovery. He spent his time when he got off of work, he would go and work with other alcoholics. That was Barney. And like I said, we called him the happy drunk. Because he was so grateful for his sobriety. He didn't keep it all to himself. Barney gave it away. And I look around the open door, which is the big meeting, and the old timers there, every one of them that's been there any length of time that was there that got to meet Barney, he touched everybody's life, everybody's life. Lillian, his wife, used to tell the story, and she said it was true. It had happened a lot. She said one night the phone rang in the middle of the night, and he just kept talking and talking and talking and talking. And when she just thought it was one of his sponsorees, and when he hung up, she said, "Well, honey, who was that?" And he said, "Well, I really don't know. It was a wrong number." And what happened, that person got to telling him his problems, and Barney listened. This is the gift that we can give each other this Thanksgiving, is to have a listening for each other. Talking is a two-way street, that 99% of communication is listening. And so I'm going to close with this and encourage you tomorrow, regardless of who you're around, have a listening for each other. Because everyone, particularly in this day and time, we need to have someone to listen to us. And then in turn, we need to listen to others. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I think we have a few minutes. Let's open it up for any questions, comments. How are you going to celebrate Thanksgiving? And anyone have anything that they would like to add? Rebecca.
Has her hand up.
I'm going to say something quickly before I have to leave. You were busy saying, when you need to be on that meal plan and what it's like to go off. I have now realized that going off for me is not an option. And being a chef with and eating with a past, with issues with eating is really hard, because you have to taste what you're making for others. So like I'm catering for a function for tomorrow, and I'm having to have things that I wouldn't usually have, and I really have to apply. Like I always say, there's a difference between a taste and a bite, or a taste and a plate. Yeah. Taste is half a teaspoon, and a bite is a whole teaspoon, or a spoon, or a bowl.
Yeah.
But I was addicted to looking at the scale when I was at that stage of being on a mission to lose as much as I possibly could, and now I've just completely ditched that. Subsequently, just like completely ditched that idea and just go according to how I feel. But everyone's, after a month now of being back on the plan, people are already noticing differences. Like things are starting to change, and my pain's changed completely, which is amazing.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, Rebecca, because you do suffer from an autoimmune disease, and the food plan has so much to do with and so I'm glad to hear that you have a month on a food plan. Congratulations. Congratulations. And I like that.
Happy Thanksgiving all. I'm going to have to.
All righty. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Who's next? Anyone have anything? Michelle, do you have your hand up?
I think it's
Anyone else have anything? Do what?
Michelle, did you have your hand up?
We've got some people in long-term recovery here. Where did Wanda go? Huh? Where did Wanda go? Is she not
Were
over
y'all
here?
talking about me?
Who? Okay, Michelle, did you have your hand up? Okay. All right. Anybody have
I did not
anything?
have my hand up, but I do. But I do want to say something. I think this is just a really special time of the year to be really grateful for the gifts that we've received through treatment. And treatment is not a luxury. It is a truly a gift. Well, it is a luxury, excuse me. And it's a luxury that a lot of people cannot afford. And we are going to do a campaign for the gift of hope and healing for people this Christmas. And hopefully it will reach everybody's email, social media, but we would love participation, because what we're trying to do is just make treatment available to as many people as possible. And your gift would really, really mean a lot. And also it's Tennie's birthday coming up. So we were going to do a little birthday celebration for gift for Tennie. So.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Michelle's our
That's all I have.
president, and Cora's on the board. They're doing a lot of hard work. There's so many people that we have to turn away because of lack of funds. And so I started a birthday fund for myself. I've never, ever in my life announced my birthday, but I decided 78, why not announce it? But the reason I did is I started a birthday fund for, the only thing I want for my birthday is donations to Hope of Shades. And so I was a little grandiose, because I am. And so I set the goal for 25,000 at first, and I thought, maybe I need to lower that a little bit. So I lowered it to 3,500, and that would pay for one, what we're doing at Shays, that would cover for one person to come doing an intensive. And if we get one person to come do an intensive, we will scholarship one. So we're going to take 2 for 1, and that's Shade's gift. So I noticed this morning, I think the total is 3,100, 3,150 or something. And so I had reset the goal for 3,500. And so, you know, this is so hard for me, because I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for Hope of Shades. If you want to, don't buy me a card. If you think about buying me a birthday card, send that. You know, you can't buy a dollar card anymore unless you go to Dollar General or something. But anyway, buy me a $5 birthday card, but instead of buying the card, send it to Hope of Shades. So there is my pitch for the Hope of Shades Foundation. They have helped pay for, I don't know the number of people, but what they have helped quite a few people through the years. And so we have a new board. So many of the board that was on the board, for whatever reason, had to resign. And we've got a brand new board. They've got some good ideas. They're working hard, but the the whole plan is to get donations from outside, so we can start back treating people for, and it's not just anyone that calls. You call and you fill out an application, it goes to the board, and then the whole board makes the decision whether the person is eligible for that scholarship. They're very, very, what's the word? They treat the money with a lot of responsibility, and they, give out those what I want to say is everyone that I know that has come through here on through the Hope Shays Foundation, I believe are selling recovery today. And that means a lot because I think they're very selective in who they give the money to. And so with that, does anyone else have anything?
Val and Diane.
Val and Diane, just a few minutes. We're about, Val?
Good morning. Thank you very much for the talk this morning. It's always just power packed with information that I know, but just brushing up on it. And so it was a great thing. I believe in your Hope of Shades Foundation, and I may have been distracted because I was donating. But because it's been the best gift of my life, and it took a lot for me to get there, and financial, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I too have a birthday in December. Mine is December 30th. So it's very crammed between the two. Everybody's sick of everybody. Everybody's sick of spending. And so I have the quietest birthdays, always have. And I would be more than happy to announce my birthday on my Facebook and to have the Hope of Shades as a foundation that they could donate to. So I don't know if that's a possibility of finding a way.
Yes, it is. And I bet those board members can help make that possible.
I bet we can get you that information, Val.
Pardon me?
I bet we can get you that information.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
I would love it. I mean, I talk about
Val,
you guys all the time.
Thank you. Thank you. That would be wonderful.
So someone will get a hold of me and we can do that. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Diane.
It was a great talk again, Tennie, as usual. I just wanted to add that I've had to resist the temptation to want to feed others, which can be as part of my disease as anything. But so far I've done really well. And that's what my plan is to continue to do that, take care of myself and not try to feed everybody else. So thank you so much and have a happy Thanksgiving.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of compulsive overeaters and anorexics, that's part of the disease is that they like to feed others. And, you know, anorexics will cook big meals and then sit back and watch other people eat. And that's, you know, a lot of compulsive overeaters like myself, that was our love language. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And this is your first holiday, so stay close. And let us hear from you. And thank you for your donation for my birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Oh, thank you. All righty. Who else? Anyone else?
Natalie.
Natalie and then Sarah. Sally. Natalie.
Hello. Hiya.
Natalie from across the pond.
Hello. It's really dark here. It's nighttime here.
Oh,
But yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
What was I going to say? Yeah, it's a practical question, really. You were mentioning about the snack being you say about 3 meals a day, and then the snack being I can't remember what you said. Eating with intention. I've been really messing up on that snack. I've been eating with intention, but completely the wrong things. What do you give? What do you give people at Shades for that evening snack?
Here is our director of food service, and I'm going to let her tell you because it has changed a little bit, but she prepares it all the time. She'll tell you.
Hey,
This is
Natalie.
Misty.
Hi,
So-
Misty.
We do 6 ounces of yogurt or 8 ounces of milk. And then we do an ounce of cereal, sugar-free, gluten-free, and then a fruit. That's
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
What?
It's all good
of those
together.
things, or just one of those things?
Just one each, like either yogurt or milk. And then, you know, a carb. We do cereal. There's other options I could probably get with you personally on that. And then a fruit.
So you get
Oh, okay.
those
So
three.
dairy, a fruit, a carb.
Yeah.
A dairy, a fruit, and a carb. Oh, okay. All right, that makes more sense than crisps and biscuits. Brilliant.
Is there no protein on that, Misty? Because I do an apple and nut butter.
Who's talking? I can't see. Oh,
Well, the
wait.
protein is from the.
It
yeah.
comes in the yogurt or the milk. Now, if someone's doing almond milk, they will have to have a protein to make up the difference, like a cheese stick or
Okay.
peanut butter.
Yeah.
Hi, cool. Thank you. That really helps.
Thank you. You've got the prettiest babies. I love seeing those pictures, and thank you for your donation. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for your lovely comments.
Okay.
Bye.
Anyone else?
Sally.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm really thankful for my time at Shades and really learned a lot of things. And for me, for tomorrow, for Thanksgiving, I think it's going to be the first time that I'm doing something where I'm giving back. And my cousin and I are together, and we're going to go and help pack meals that get sent over to the military base to feed the military, which, you know, I think is wonderful. And then the restaurant that's doing it, then they're opening up later with a buffet for Thanksgiving, and we're going to eat. And I had already ahead gotten the menu, so I know it's all, and so I've already figured out what all I can have and can fit within my meal plan. So, you know, I'm excited to be able to see that I can actually do that, because I do have the confidence I can now.
Yes, you can. And a little birdie told me that you have lost more weight, and it's not all about the weight loss, but it kind of is until it isn't. You know, it's not all about the food, but it is until it isn't. So congratulations on your weight loss, because
Thank
it's
you.
proof positive that you are following directions with the meal plan. There's no failure to it. There's zero failure to it. Thanks, Sally.
Thank you, and you have a wonderful Thanksgiving as well.
All righty, we will. Thank you. Anyone else?
I don't see anybody.
The what?
I said, I don't see any hands up.
Bonnie, do you have anything? You've been through a lot of holidays in recovery. What's it like for on the other side for someone that has suffered from anorexia and bulimia? What's recovery look like? Do you mind sharing a minute?
Well, a lot of what you shared and a lot of what I learned in Shades, I'm in my 16th year of recovery, but I still do the meal plan that I got in Shades. And because I was a low weight bulimic, it was a large amount and still is. And what I was amazed about is, I don't know how it works, but when I got up to where my maintenance level of weight was, I still ate the same amount of food, but did not gain any more weight. And so I still practice that to the best of my ability. I am addicted to processed sugar, so I avoid products with the sugar. Occasionally I eat bread, but not very often. If I do, it's sprouted bread or whole grain or something like that. But there's so much, it's not about the food anymore. It's just fuel. I tell my sponsors, it's just fuel for my body. And that freedom to just show up and be present. Because before in my addiction, it was all about the food, get it down, get it up. How can I look good here and then go home and binge and purge? You know, it just consumed me. So that freedom, but it is a spiritual solution.
Yes.
And where I have a lot of gratitude is because of how far down this disease took me for years and years and years, and wanting to die because I didn't think there was any other solution, because I'd gone to treatment 2 times before. Just that total surrender every day and asking God to be with me. This is your day, God. How do you want me to show up? How can I be of service? Please guide me. And I have a great day and just enjoy what is. So a lot of gratitude for Shades and 12-step programs. I go to ABA, which is Anorexics and Bulimics Anonymous, which also includes compulsive eating. But just a lot of gratitude and for the service you continue to do and show up, because I get nuggets every week from your shares, and especially how you personalize it. So thank you to you and Cam and everybody that continues to serve at such a deep level.
Oh, thank you, Bonnie. Thank you. I just really wanted you to share because we see eating disorders all on the same spectrum. And, there's some differences. There's a lot of similarities, but there's differences. And so thank you so much for sharing. And another thing that I know about you is that you do a lot of service work. You give it away to the point that we want to refer someone to you, and you're full with sponsorees. And that's a good thing, and it's also a good thing that you can say no, when you know what your limit is. But I appreciate you working with, with so many people that have come out of Shades, and you're an absolute miracle. And, it still amazes me that I can eat the meal plan and my weight basically stays the same. It stays the same. Now, isn't that a miracle?
Yeah.
Isn't that a miracle? Because my weight never stayed the same from one day to the next. So thanks, Bonnie. It's good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Thank you.
All righty. Anyone else? Well, I guess we might be done. Have a wonderful holiday next week. Christmas is coming. And so what we're going to talk about, and we may talk about it more than one time, but maybe just next week, I don't know. We're going to talk about spending and debting and how you can't buy love. Spending and debting and how you can't buy love. Spending and debting addiction is huge. We see people with it all the time, particularly eating disorder people. Addictions come in clusters, and with eating disordered people, a lot of times it's the eating disorder, the debting and spending, and then love and sex addiction. And sometimes the spending and the love and sex addiction doesn't come into play until recovery from the eating disorder. We see it all of the time. Particularly, and not just the compulsive overeaters, but a lot of your compulsive overeaters, if they lose 100, 150 pounds and they look cute and they get frisky and all, one thing, like for me, what I got into was spending and debting. I mean, the year after I got out of treatment, I went charging through the mall and charged up in a year's time over $20,000 of stuff, junk, because it helped fill that hole in my soul. And so I got to start Debtors Anonymous from that. And I will tell you, I have good recovery. Now, I have been a love addict in the past, looking for love. I've never tapped into the sex addiction by the grace of God, and I hope I never do. But we're going to be talking about different addictions and how if you don't work on that core pain and get free of it, it hurts so bad, we'll just trade off from one addiction to the other, So that's what next week will be about. And when you get into the pocketbook, a lot of times people don't want to talk about their spending addiction. And so join me. If you know of anyone else that might want to join us, please pass the word, because it's open to anyone. Y'all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a wonderful rest of the weekend, and we will see you next Wednesday right here. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Misty, hey, Misty, have
Everybody have a happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Who's asking? Whoa.
Bye,
Misty, have a
Misty.
good Thanksgiving.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.
Cam and everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Trey. Great. Yeah, Trey, there's Trey.
Oh, yeah.
Have a great day.
I think Jonathan left us, but all righty. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.